So you found out your loft is full of spray foam, and you know it has to come out. For your mortgage, for the sale, for your own peace of mind. Here's the part almost nobody warns you about. Right now, the biggest risk to you isn't the foam. It's who you hire to remove it. Because the same industry that talked people into spraying this stuff in the first place is the one now selling the removal. And the cowboys followed the money. Hire the wrong company, and you can pay thousands over the odds. Let someone damage the very roof you're trying to protect, and, this is the one that really stings, end up with a loft that looks tidy, but a piece of paper your mortgage lender simply won't accept. Back to square one, only poorer. Get it right, and this is a 2 to 5 day job that quietly disappears and never troubles you again. So this is how you get it right. Exactly what a trustworthy removal company must provide, the red flags that should make you put the phone down, and the questions to ask before you let anyone up a ladder. Let's be honest about why this particular step is so exposed. Removing spray foam is a specialist job in what is, frankly, an unregulated trade. There is no single official license you need in order to call yourself a spray foam removal company, which means the trade attracts brilliant, careful specialists and outright chances in roughly equal measure. And from your driveway, they can look completely identical. Some of them, genuinely, are the very same operators who were spraying this foam in a few years ago, who've simply repainted the van and followed the money into removal. So if you feel a bit paranoid about all this, you're not. You're right to be careful. Here's how hiring the wrong company actually hurts you. And there are 3 ways. 1, you overpay, sometimes wildly, because you had nothing honest to compare the quote against. 2, the job gets done roughly. Foam torn off in a hurry, taking the roofing felt, or gouging the timber with it, so now you've got damage that wasn't even there before you started. And 3, the worst of the lot. The work gets done, but it's never properly independently certified. So when your lender or your buyer's surveyor asks for proof that the problem is solved, you haven't got it. You paid to fix the problem, and you still have the problem. Everything in this video is aimed at making sure not one of those 3 things ever happens to you. Before you take a single quote from anyone, get one thing straight in your head. The honest starting point is an independent view of what actually needs doing, from someone who is not the person being paid to do the removal. This matters because there's a conflict of interest baked into this entire trade. If the only person who inspects your roof is the person who profits from ripping the foam out, what realistically do you think they're going to tell you? Sometimes the whole lot genuinely does need to come out. Occasionally, a good deal less does. Either way, you want that decision made by someone whose income doesn't depend on the answer. A trustworthy company welcomes an independent assessment. They've got nothing to hide, and it makes their quote look honest. The one to be wary of is the firm that turns up, glances into the loft for 30 seconds, and hands you a big number on the spot, without properly looking at the timbers, the felt underneath, and the ventilation. That isn't a survey. That's a sales call with a ladder. So let's build the checklist properly. The things a genuinely trustworthy company will give you as a matter of course, no fuss, no drama. First, a written, itemized, fixed quote. Not a vague few grand, not a day rate that quietly balloons once they're up there. A proper document that spells out what's being removed, how, what's included, and what it costs. And ideally, what happens to the price if they uncover a nasty surprise, so you're not ambushed halfway through. Second, proof of insurance. And you should actually ask to see it, not just take their word. Public liability cover is what protects your home if something goes wrong while they're working on it. If a company can't or won't show you a current certificate that on its own tells you most of what you need to know. Third, a clear scope, in plain English, of exactly what finished looks like. Full removal, not a surface scrape that leaves half of it stuck to the timber. The rafters left clean and undamaged. The roof left sound. And the loft cleared of every last bag of debris, not left for you to deal with. If any part of that is fuzzy when they describe it, pin it down in writing before you sign a thing. Now the part that really separates a professional from a chancer, how the foam actually comes off. The right standard is complete and careful. The foam fully removed, and the roof it was hiding left in at least as good a condition as they found it. That sounds obvious, but an enormous amount of the damage in this whole trade happens right here, at this exact step. Rushed removal tears the felt under your tiles, especially the older brittle stuff, and a torn felt can mean recovering part of your roof, which is a bill far bigger than the removal itself. Careless scraping gouges the rafters, and a suspiciously cheap quote is very often cheap precisely because they're planning to go fast and rough and let you discover the damage later. A trustworthy company will talk you through how they protect the felt and the timber. They will not promise to blitz a whole roof in an afternoon. They treat your roof as something to be preserved, not just stripped. If a quote seems too good to be true, this, 9 times out of 10, is where the corner is being cut. Here is the single most important thing in this entire video. And it's the thing the cowboys are always most vague about. The certificate. When the foam is gone, the job is only genuinely finished when you have independent certification that it has been removed and the roof is sound, ideally verified by a chartered surveyor. That piece of paper is the whole point of the exercise. It's what satisfies your mortgage lender. It's what a buyer's surveyor asks to see. It is the entire difference between the loft looks tidy now and the problem is provably permanently solved. And here's the trap. Plenty of removal firms will happily hand you their own certificate, a nice sheet with their own logo on it, in which they certify their own work. To a lender, that can be worth very little indeed. It's marking their own homework. What actually carries weight is independent, third-party verification. Someone with no stake in the job confirming it was done properly. So before you hire anyone, ask exactly who signs off the finished work and whether that sign-off is genuinely independent of the company doing the removal. If the answer is a breezy, "Oh, we certify it all ourselves," keep looking. Let's put all of that together as red flags, the tells that should make you politely end the conversation. A cold call or a knock at the door offering to remove your foam, walk away. The good firms are busy. They don't need to doorstep strangers. A demand for a large cash payment up front. No. A flat refusal to put the quote in writing. No. Today only discounts and pressure to sign right now. That urgency is manufactured, and it exists for one reason: to stop you doing exactly the checks in this video. No proof of insurance, no. A price dramatically lower than everyone else's. Don't celebrate. Ask yourself what's being skipped to get there. Don't worry about all that certification business. We'll sort our own. A serious warning sign for the reasons we just covered. And the big one. If the company offering to remove your foam is the same outfit or the same faces who install spray foam, be extremely cautious. Now, none of these on its own absolutely proves someone's a crook. But see 2 or 3 of them together, and you are almost certainly better off spending your money somewhere else. To make this genuinely easy, here are the questions to ask any company before you let them anywhere near your roof. Write them down and ask every single one. Question 1. Is the survey or assessment independent, or is it done by whoever's quoting for the removal? Question 2. Are you fully insured, and can I see your public liability certificate? Question 3. Who certifies the work when it's finished, and is that certification independent of your company? Question 4. Can you give me a written, itemized, fixed quote, including what happens if the felt or the timber turns out to be damaged? Question 5. How exactly do you protect the roofing felt and the timbers during removal? And question 6. Can you give me references or recent jobs I can actually check? A trustworthy company answers all 6 of those calmly and clearly because they've got good answers and they've heard sensible people ask before. A chancer gets irritated, goes vague, or tries to hurry you past them. Honestly, their reaction to these 6 questions tells you almost everything you need to know before you've spent a penny. Beyond the phone call, do a little homework. It really doesn't take long, and it pays for itself many times over. Get at least 2, ideally 3, separate quotes so you can see what normal looks like and spot the outlier in either direction, the rip-off and the too good to be true. Check the company is a real, registered business with a traceable history, not just a mobile number and a magnetic sign that comes off the side of a van. Look for genuine reviews from more than one place and be wary of a firm with no track record at all. Ask which independent body verifies their certification. Then check that body actually exists and does what they say it does. And never ever hand over a large sum before the work is done and signed off. A reasonable deposit for materials can be perfectly normal, but the bulk of the money falls due on satisfactory, independently certified completion and not one day before. Do that much, and you will have quietly filtered out the overwhelming majority of the people in this trade who would have let you down. So, quickly, the whole thing in one breath. Start with an independent view of what actually needs doing. Insist on a written, itemized, fixed quote and proof of insurance. Make sure the removal standard is complete and careful with no damage to your roof. And above absolutely everything else, make sure the finished job is independently certified, because that certificate is the thing that actually clears your mortgage and protects your sale. Get those right, and you will hire well. Now, if reading all that back sounds like a lot of homework to be doing while you're already stressed about your house, here's the good news. It's exactly what we do for you, and it's free. At Spray Foam Removal Advice, we take your situation, work out what genuinely needs doing, and then find and vet trusted, properly insured UK specialists on your behalf, the ones who do it the careful way and who certify it independently. No salespeople, no pressure, no obligation. You tell us about your roof, we do the vetting, and line up companies you can actually trust. The link's in the description and pinned in the comments. And even if all you want is an honest second opinion on a quote you've already been handed, start there before you agree to anything. If this saved you from a bad decision, do subscribe. This channel exists to keep worried homeowners one step ahead of the spray foam problem, in plain English, with nothing to sell you and no scare tactics. If you're not even sure yet what removal should cost, watch the one on screen next. We break the real price down, start to finish, so you can tell an honest quote from a rip-off at a glance. And if you'd like our free checklist of questions for vetting a company, comment the word checklist below and I'll point you to it. Thanks for watching. Take your time, ask the awkward questions, and don't let anyone rush you. You're in control of this one.